Let's see. What? Oh no! Flushable wipes! Trash it! Don't splash it!
I've been waiting for this for weeks. I gotta tell you, I am so ready to do this. I even have the bed ready.
What?
So when you get home, we can get really dirty.
Gotta go.
Hey, here you go. With all this compost, we're gonna have the best plants in the neighborhood.
Hello, I'm Corporal Kevlon Kirkpatrick. I'd like to go over one of the free services we provide at the Orlando Police Department, a residential security survey. Since we cannot be everywhere all the time, I'm going to provide you with an abundance of options to consider to better safeguard your home. One of the first challenges we see are address numbers. Address numbers should be visible from the street. Bushes and/or shrubs should be no higher than 2 feet. This fence, although provides lots of natural visibility, it would be better aided by shrubs being lower than the fence, again, 2 feet in height. All fences and/or gates should be locked. Detached buildings and/or garages should be locked and secured. One of the most common ways burglaries are committed are through the front door. Front door damage and/or kick-in is one of the common ways that these residential burglaries are committed. One of the options to consider is replacing these screws in the strike plate with 2 to 3 inch screws. The other thing is making sure your bolt or your throw is at least 1 inch in length. As you see, this front door has a very large glass portion. One option to consider in reference to securing this and making this more challenging for bad guys to get in is shatterproof material over this glass portion. So, we provided you with some helpful hints. If you'd like a more comprehensive residential security survey, please feel free to contact 407-246-2369. Also, consider starting and maintaining an active neighborhood watch group.
Have you seen the fountain at Lake Eola? It's huge! Check out this lady's head. It's huge! Lake Eola swan boats are incredible. They're huge! Did you know there's almost a mile of walkway around Lake Eola? It's huge! Have you seen the feet on this guy? They're huge! Did you know that a swan's bill is larger than a duck's bill? That's huge! Have you seen the trees at Lake Eola? They're huge! Lake Eola bandshell, it's huge!
Visit Lake Eola. It's huge!
Have you seen the head on this guy? It's little. It's not really that big.
Good morning and welcome to the January 14th, 2019 workshop of the Orlando City Council. We have two great workshops today, things that we've been working on for both of them over a decade, and I look out my window every day and see a lot of progress going on over at the Dr. Phillips Center. They're going to be open with the third hall, the Steinmetz Hall, and the Green Room, not this year, but spring 2020, and they're here to give us an update. Chuck Steinmetz, who is a substantial contributor and board member, and we'll have the third hall named after him, is going to open up. Chuck.
Good morning, Mayor, and good morning, Commissioners. Thank you so much for having us come to present to you. It's interesting that I came on the board there in 2006 when we had 8 employees. And it was just a concept. It wasn't a reality. It was a concept. Now we have over 700 people involved every day. We've got a 90% rating of satisfaction with everyone who attend. My friends who say that the only thing they complain about is they can't get tickets. And I said, well, if you can't get tickets, you got to start earlier. And then I also say, are you a member? And they say, well, no, we're not. But, you know, we have thousands of members, about 15,000, I think. That's the easiest way to get the information about what's going to be appearing so they can start early and get tickets. Our performance is just unbelievable. I mean, if you can imagine, I'm a retired businessman, thank goodness. And to grow from 0 revenue to over 35 million in 4 years will really strain your guts. It takes so much effort, so many meetings, so much time to make sure that we're doing things right so that we deliver to the community some place that there isn't any other place like it in the country. And the results are really spectacular because we don't need to ask you for any money for operating the center. In Miami, where I'm from, they had to kick in $11 million to make up the deficit last year. And in Dallas, they've had a shortfall of $45 million in the last 5 years. So as you can see, we planned this thing to be successful from the very beginning, and it has really turned out that way. It's a thrill to be there, and it's so wonderful that when we have friends visit from out of town, we always take them to the Dr. Phillips Center for a performance, which they're knocked out by that. But just seeing the wonderful facility that we've created in this community has just made the biggest difference for us as Orlandoans. So I'm very, very proud to be involved in that and to be part of that. And I thank you all for your help. Now I'll turn it over to Kathy.
Thank you, Chuck.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good morning.
I also want to recognize Chris McCullion, who is an avid supporter of our project. He sits on our board and he participates in our executive committee. He also works very closely with our finance team. Let's see, here we go. We wanted to give you three main updates today. One, our fiscal year of 2017-18. I know we're in the middle in 19 now. We'll give you an update at the end, actually, of what's happening this year. Also, we really want to talk about the purpose of the Arts Center. That's our mission. And we raise about over $3 million a year that is dedicated just for mission work. The rest of our business, we sustain our operations by earned revenue. So we'll touch base on just the mission of the Arts Center, and then also we'll go over our fiscal success. We're also going to give you an update of where we are in Steinmetz Hall. So last fiscal year, we did over 440 completely different types of shows. And that was an increase of over 90 curtains from the year before. It's a unique year. The reason why we had the chance to actually have that many more is we actually tucked in a few more weeks of Broadway. And the timing for which Broadway was landing, we had the ability to bring some independent commercial shows in, so we had the capacity to actually do that many more curtains. We did 114 non-ticketed events. If you remember, in the planning of the Arts Center, we always wanted to be a place for everyone, whether they are buying a ticket or not. This includes weddings. We have community meetings there. We invite other nonprofits to do some work there as well. We did over 634,000 guests last year, 5% over. We believe that when Steinmetz opens in the green room, we believe that's going to be close to 1.2 to 1.4 million. And with what's happening and how we envision what could happen on the front piece of property, we believe that that's going to, our goal there is over 1 million attendees. So once the big picture's done, we believe we're going to have over 2.4 million people coming there a year. Right now, as Chuck mentioned this, we have 300 volunteers who gave us 22,000 hours. I don't know if you've been to the Arts Center, but we have wonderful people that help us. You can see them, they're in orange vests. 200 full-time and part-time colleagues, and we have 190 partner organization, IATSE, BAGS. Our security partner is Andy Frayne, 190, and so that gets us right to 700 people that actually operates the venue across the street. We had great revenue this past year, both earned and contributed. Okay. I think it's the same space bar, right? Mm-hmm. We're frozen. We're frozen. Thank you. Okay. In the meantime, can I answer any questions before the presentation? Make them easy? All right, thank you.
Have you sold any tickets for Hamilton?
Yeah. Just a couple. Just a couple.
Kathy, you want to borrow my hard copy and just keep going? Would that be helpful?
Yeah, we could.
I have this on another computer.
Yeah. Okay.
Just swap it. Take 2 seconds. Hang on
Okay.
just 1 sec. He's coming.
It's my cheat sheet. I don't have a hard copy up here. That's the problem.
Kathy,
Yeah, okay, okay, thank you. Okay, there you go.
Let's hold for a second if you can get it up so the public has the opportunity to see the
Well, I think
slides. There you go.
Well, this would probably be a great time, actually. Those 700 people that actually drive this are led by a great group of leaders at the Arts Center. There are directors and our vice presidents along with managers. A lot of them are actually here today, and so I'd like to recognize them. Can you guys stand up real quick? Okay. Thanks, guys. Guys.
Kathy, where were you?
We're on just on the second slide.
Let's go to the top here, right?
Just
that one?
That one. That one. Okay.
And let's get you to this.
I'm making a mess here.
And there you go.
And this is one right here.
Yes, space
Okay,
bar.
great. Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, so with their leadership, we were had the opportunity to apply for a recognition at the International Association of Venue Managers. We weren't members quite yet, but we said, what the heck, let's go ahead and submit just our qualifications to see if we would be considered for an award. At the same time, we actually joined the organization. Our team put together a fantastic application, and we actually won the National International Award of the Best Performing Arts Center amongst 133 performing arts centers. You might be familiar with this because the Amway Center, in a different category, actually was recognized and won a couple years earlier under Alan Johnson's leadership. So we were really thrilled. We actually went to Toronto and had the chance to see our peers, but it's a great reflection of the effort that our team puts into the project. Chuck mentioned we're also Certificate of Excellence for TripAdvisor as well as for Yelp. Our fiscal year 17-18, I'm going to focus on content and programming and the business. When Cecilia comes up, we'll associate all the numbers with the programming activity. I mentioned 440 diverse shows. We really want to try to get as many different types of performances in the center as possible. We do a great deal of commercial shows, and that's why our business is sustainable. We actually present, we can actually bring content in 3 ways. We can just rent the venue, which is very similar to the Bob Carr model. We can partner with somebody and share our risks in bringing commercial shows, or we can actually present the shows at our risk 100%. I think this past year we did over 150 self-presented and co-presented performances, which is we're at risk there, but our earning capacity is much greater on those shows. This just gives you a reflection of the type of categories we actually try to bring into the center to get the most diverse audiences. Under the leadership of Foster Cronin as well as Levon Bracey and a number of other team members there, we have done the 440 shows, but also we've done 141 community shows. That was our commitment to the community. I think in the very beginning we thought there might be 3 or 4 arts organizations locally presenting in the Arts Center, but we actually have 141. We booked 38 new groups this past year and 7 new art forms, and they're very, very diverse, the art forms. They range from international and every different type of country you can imagine. We're trying to bring those and expose that type of work. 73%, I think we're proud of this, 73% of those groups actually come back again. They found success there. Our team supports them a great deal with marketing, show marketing, operational support, which also includes production support. We also helped sell out several of their performances. And the whole point of our mission is to be collaborative, which is kind of the spirit of the City of Orlando, This gives you an idea. It's much more than 4 to 5 local arts organizations that present at the Arts Center. It's these 141. Arts education, we have great leadership now. Karen Ruggiero actually just joined our organization 3 or 4 months ago. And you might be familiar with her. She actually worked at Jones High School for years. And then she was asked to go and build the #1 performing arts high school in the country at Dr. Phillips, of which she did, and she was successful. She actually helped us with our early planning of our education with me and others before we opened between 2007 and 2011, and now she's actually leading our effort there. We had 130,000 students actually attend last year. That includes a lot of work from the Orlando Ballet and the Philharmonic. I think you guys saw a bunch of kids dancing when they left the facility when Nutcracker was here for their children's performances. And so we support their educational initiatives. We actually had 87 classes at the Advent School of the Arts. We actually have a 10,000 square feet that we use in the back of the venue. Disney Musicals in Schools, our very first year, we had 3 Title I schools that we worked with. Now we're up to 5. So every year we've actually increased. That is a huge endeavor. We need to raise $300,000 a year to be able to get those kids and have that outreach in their schools. What happens there is we actually teach them how to produce and present their own Broadway musical in their school, of which they do, and they have several performances, and at the end of the year, all the kids actually come to the Dr. Phillips Center and they do a couple numbers together on our stage. Sixth in Jazz, we launched a couple years ago, 18,500 kids. Orange and Osceola County actually comes. We actually put an educational program in their school. They actually come and we actually present that completely. We have great teen ambassadors, over 40. We do the Applause Awards where we actually adjudicate over 50 high school plays in 7 counties. We have a number of volunteers that work on that with us. And then we actually put our own version of the Tony Awards on at the Arts Center at the end of the year. We also do free school performances. this is a milestone. We said, does this matter? Do the arts actually matter? And Florida Hospital and our organization said, you know what, wonder if we can actually prove it. Can we prove that it matters? So we started doing the research. Is anybody in the country actually studying, does it matter? Do the arts actually matter in the health and wellness of your life? And we found out that no one actually is actually studying, does it matter? There's arts therapy that's worldwide. Actually, Marjorie Steinmetz leads a great deal with caregivers and aging populations and with national arts organizations. So arts is integrated, but does it matter? And so what we said is, can we see if we can study it to see if it does and prove it? I can say prove it, clinical, medical aspects, you can't use that word, but to me that matters. But does it matter clinically? And so we actually are bringing 200 dyads, both caregivers and level 4 Alzheimer's patients, to the Art Center. We've written a curriculum for them, and this year we're going to study and see if we can actually make sure that if we can scientifically determine that there is a difference. Regardless, our arts education program is going to be working with Alzheimer's, autism, kids at risk, as you know. And so we hope to continue this partnership with Advent Health because we think it's actually something that is really unique and authentic to the purpose of our Art Center and the mission of Advent Health. $8 million raised. This was what we did last year. 4.9 went to construction for Steinmetz Hall and the Green Room, and 3.1 went for our mission. You know, and specifically with the City of Orlando and Paramore, we really welcome that partnership, not only to build the center, but to operate it and have the mission come to life. We have had the chance to host city parks and recreation showcases. We bring them in for 2 days in the summertime, and it's great. If you've not had the chance to come, please try to come. And then Orlando Neighborhood Improvement Corporation Prodigy Cultural Arts Program we also have over there. But as much as we have the chance to have any of the city initiatives in there, we really love to have that, as well as around the county and the 7-county area that actually attends the Art Center. So I'm going to introduce Brett. He actually is with the projects group, and he is our owner's rep that's going to give a quick update on where we are with Steinmetz Hall. Made a mess up there.
Morning, Mayor, council members. So we're going to talk about Steinmetz Hall a little bit this morning. We've made great progress this fiscal year on the Steinmetz Hall in the Green Room. Just a small picture here inside the hall, probably looks like 4 or 5 months ago, where you can see the seating area really coming together in the shape of the outer walls. Steinmetz Hall and the Green Room are a little more than a year away. Steinmetz Hall, as you know, will be one of the most acoustically perfect theaters in the world, designed to achieve an N1 sound rating. It's the lowest level that humans can detect sound. Basically, the hall is going to be isolated from all outside noise trying to get in, and inside noise getting out. So it helps the other halls as well with this rating. Let me recap a few of the characteristics of the uniqueness of the project. The theater actually bears on rubber pads on top of the foundation. There's 470, I believe, rubber isolator pads that the building's floating on, essentially. And some people have been out there and seen this. It's a room within a room, and it provides a barrier to any type of vibration. Steinmetz is a multi-form theater that transforms in shape, seating, and acoustics to accommodate multiple art forms and events, and its maximum will be able to seat 1,700 people. Excited to showcase everything from ballet to opera, concert, symphonies, and more. I know the team is beginning to work on programming the theater for opening. The Green Room will be a 3,000 square foot multi-purpose space inspired by the performance space at the Jazz at Lincoln Center. The space will be designed so that artists have a place for exploration and innovation, including the opportunity to professionally record in front of a live audience. Some of the milestones that we're looking at here, we set these milestones in place right after groundbreaking. You can see we've completed a lot of them to date. The upcoming ones that are kind of in process right now are the structural steel at Area G, which if you've driven by, you've seen all the red columns and floor beams coming up over the last couple weeks. That work should be done in February this year. You can also see out front in the area right across the street the big pieces of the canopy. Those are the front spans of the canopy, the last pieces that will be set, and that work should be started to go up in the air late February, March. It's going to be a little while they're still building those out there on the ground. The concrete, the remaining concrete structure should be complete later this month as well. So we're still looking at spring 2020 substantial completion. Everything's moving along really well. Current work in progress, as you can see, if anybody drives by or looks over there, is a structural steel installation. We pretty much got rid of all the concrete workers. We had 250 on site every day for the last year, and now we're ramping up to that same amount of guys and workers in steel work every day. And the canopy is being assembled on the front. The actual center piece, what they call the center saddle, should be showing up in pieces over the next couple weeks, and that is what we refer to as the mega pick. So there'll be a large crane set out in the middle of South Street over a weekend, I believe, and it's like a 750-ton pick to fly this up in the air and set it up on the existing structure to tie the canopy together. The final slabs are being poured. We've got some roof decks coming up, and the cassette structure is in progress, and you'll see a picture of the cassette pretty soon. Upcoming work, completion of the concrete structure, like I said, the back of house area J, where it's back of house support space in the green room. The canopy will be installed late February, early March, and then the concrete roof decks in the stage box and theater box. You can see this picture here. This is the shape of the ceiling. Well, it's above the ceiling. It's all the stuff that you won't really see from the hall once the metal ceiling is installed, but these are steel for the catwalks, for all the mechanical ductwork and everything that's above the ceiling, and the metal decking will be going on top of these trusses soon to get us a weather-tight structure so we can start working on interior finishes. This is a picture from outside of the theater, basically the front of house and the structural steel. The lobby area where all that steel is just, it's an extension of the same lobby that's in stage 1 right now. So that'll be coming across and going up to carry the canopy across. The cassette structure, this piece on the left there, it's basically an 800,000-pound piece of, an 800,000-pound movable piece of furniture. It'll have seating, audio, video components, air, and fire protection and lighting. So this structure rolls up from the back of what we call the garage, and will seal the hall to make it a theater in the round, part of the multi-form structure of the hall. In the front of house steel, you can see is 3 or 4 levels up right now, and there should be some metal decking going on those beams pretty soon. So now I'll turn it over to Cecilia Kelly, CFO at the Dr. Phillips Center, and give us an update on business and finance.
Before you do that, could you or either Kathy just comment again and emphasize, I'm not sure that it was clear to everybody, the multi-form functions and how the theater can convert into a variety of different configurations, and then also the isolation aspect, because that's pretty unique to theaters in America.
Sure. We, in the city OPAC, an interlocal agreement, we were to achieve an NC 15 rating for Steinmetz Hall. When we did the vibration studies early on in 2006 or 7, the vibration from the train and actually the North Road, which is South Street, created enough vibration. We went down 35 feet to actually measure vibration. Vibration creates sound. We thought we could get to NC 15, but it would be risky. And so we came back to City Council and we asked if we could go ahead and raise additional money to completely isolate the building. Similar to building in Jazz at Lincoln Center, which is at Columbus Circle. It sits on top of the subway in the Time Warner building. What happens is the entire building sits on rubber casters. There's pylons underneath. And I think Brett can talk about how deep we had to go and how we had to de-rod the site. There's over 400 pilings. Why don't you give a little bit of a...
So the foundation system, which is the base of the whole acoustical nature, which is the acoustical nature of this hall, the foundation consists of 670 driven auger concrete piles in the ground, ranging from depths from 70 to 115 feet. Above that, there is a mat foundation, which is a 7-foot thick mat of concrete that weighs, all in all, we calculated 29 million pounds with concrete and steel. And up from there come these pilasters or columns, which the rubber pads sit on. And it's a very high-density rubber and steel composite system. And then all the other concrete structure of the hall was poured on top of these pads. So like I said earlier, it's basically floating. somewhat in midair.
It's the same type of, the pads are the same type of material that's used in suspension bridges because they move a little bit. And so, and then why we chose to do this, the other thing we chose to do, including to increase the rating to NC1, which is only very few in the world. This is not an NC1 room.
It's not us across the street.
It's okay, so because it's great timing. So, so the room is actually a flexible room. The other thing we chose to do is there's something called a multi-purpose room and a multi-form room. Initially, we said we were going to do a multi-purpose room, which meant that the Philharmonic or the ballet are going to kind of be in the right hall for them. We also said they ought to be, if we're going to invest this much money, they ought to be in a room for themselves. So we chose to flip to a multi-purpose room, and that's where this, it's more than 210 tons, it's close to 300 tons, I guess, piece of architecture will join the balconies and create an oval. And for symphonic music or unamplified music, whether it's Eric Clapton Unplugged or the Orlando Philharmonic, you want to be in the same room of music. And so it's enclosed. There's no curtain, there's no proscenium. But for dance and for opera and other forms, they need to have a proscenium opening, and so that big structure will move to the back of the stage. A proscenium will come down, and you'll have that division between the audience and the artist, which you need for all types of theater, including dance. Then, in addition to that, we said, you know, trends in performing arts centers are changing, and flat floors are being used throughout the country. Austin actually has one. Dallas, Nashville actually has one. Two, actually, in Nashville. So what we said is, let's see if we can flip the floor and have a flat floor so we can actually have theater in the round, galas. We can also have different, we can have a mosh pit if we need to, so people can stand, etc. And so the flexibility in the room is what we really felt that was needed for it. And the trick is some of these halls, they can be flexible, but it takes a great deal of time to do so. So we approached it where we have minimal labor in making the changeover. Good. Any questions there?
Can she repeat that?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Okay, couldn't hear. Okay, all right.
Hey, Ed, can you just turn the volume up on this? Just crank it.
Okay, great. All right. Cecilia Kelly, our CFO, is going to give you the financial.
It's really fascinating, but we can't hear a darn thing you're saying.
Okay, good.
Yeah, hey, Kathy, just run quick through the
Yeah, because it's really cool. And I'm like, wow, that sounds really amazing.
How you can convert to the different halls and everything.
So the actual theater can change into several different configurations. The very large shell that was mentioned moves forward and attaches to the balcony, where if you're looking in plan, the room is an oval. And music needs to be in the same room. It doesn't need to have a curtain, a division. You want the sound in the same room. So for the Philharmonic, or if we do anything that's acoustically oriented, I've mentioned Eric Clapton Unplugged, anyone who doesn't need amplification, you want to be in that one enclosure. For dance and for theater and for opera, you have to have a division between the artist and the audience. And so you need to have a curtain and a proscenium. And so the shell would then move to the back, and then architecture flies in where you can actually have that division. There's a few theaters that do this worldwide. There's a couple in the United States, but not many. Way back in the 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, theaters always had flat floors, and they were always very changeable. So the other thing we chose to do is actually have a flat floor that can happen in the hall as well. So the seats actually flip underground. They flip just like this on a system called the Gala system. And we can raise it, and we can have flexibility where you can change the pit size, or we can have a completely flat floor equal to the stage, and we can have a gala for up to about 600 people. We can also do theater in the round. It's very flexible. These were all adjustments that we did when we started looking around the country. The interlocal agreement was approved, and the City Council and the Dr. Phillips Center, we said, let's raise a little bit more money, of which we did, and we increased the budget to actually make sure that it was sound perfect, NC1, and that it was flexible. Yep. All right.
Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Before we get into the numbers, I just wanted to briefly summarize, and as a refresher, actually, the Dr. Phillips Center for the Performing Arts, we're in 501c3, and we have a private board of directors, and we privately operate and manage the center. Our operations are funded through revenue that we earn through our programming activities and operating activities and through private contributions. The City of Orlando owns the property, owns the land and the buildings. They actually annually contribute to two trust fund accounts, one that provides for some ongoing maintenance to support the building, and some long-term capital repair that is for future replacement rather than repair, actually. In addition, the City of Orlando maintains the construction fund for Phase 2. The entire project, when completed, is about a $604 million project. This pie chart shows you the various funding sources. Dr. Phillips Center, at the end of when we complete the $604 million project, will have contributed $151.2 million. The City of Orlando is the yellow at $198 million. That's the infrastructure and the CRA funding. And other funding, the Orange County TDT is at $207.4 million. State of Florida and other public funding is $29 million. City of Winter Park contributed $1 million, and we have some interest earnings there on $17.7 million. For the fiscal year ended June 30, 2018, we had a great year. We budgeted actually to break even, but we came in at a profit of $704 million. That's the unrestricted and operating profit. In addition, we raised $4.9 million. That's in our restricted revenue for Phase 2. That $704,000 is 150% over what over our results from last year. Earned versus contributed, we've talked about, we show you this pretty much every year when we speak to you because it's an important component of our type of center. When we originally designed this concept, we anticipated a 60-40 ratio, that's 60% earned revenue versus 40% contributed, and that's what our pro formas showed. Over we finished our full year of operations, and our average is 85% earned versus 15% contributed. It's the direction that allows us to be sustainable and not have to come back and ask for the funds, as Kathy mentioned. So we're clearly exceeding our expectations that we had before we opened. Our year just ended, June 30, 2018. We actually had a higher ratio. It was more of an 89-11, but this is our average over the 4 years of 85-15. To go a little further, the earned revenue portion consists of presenting activities, which you can see, that's presenting and programming. That's the bulk of what we do. It's our mission and our commercial activities. That's 93% of our total earned revenue. In addition, we have concessions. We have event rental and banquets, our School of the Arts, it's our mission, and some other types of revenue. So that's the components of our earned revenue. And that 33.6% is exceeded last year by 10%. In addition to earned revenue, we have contributions, we have sponsorships, and we have the support from the city for the maintenance, as I mentioned. Our total revenue last year was $38.5 million. Before I move to the next slide, I wanted to point out that this $33.6 million in the year ended June 30, 2018 represents the third consecutive year where we had an increase in our earned revenue. And it looks like we'll be able to make it a fourth come the end of the year. As a short summary of our total, there's the earned revenue of $33.6 million. Our contributed revenue and other support added another 4.3. The city support I mentioned was 546. So our total revenue for this past year was $38.5 million. Our total expenses are 37.7, and you can see the bulk of our expenses relate to our presenting activities. And our net operating is $704,000 rounded. With the restricted phase 2 and the release of program restricted, our change in net assets for the year was over $5 million. And our operating costs, our total operating costs are $37.8 million, of which $4.8 million represents the cost of actually running the building and property maintenance. Of that $4.8 million, $4.3 million is covered by the Dr. Phillips Center through our revenue, through our earned revenue activities and our philanthropy. The $546 is the support that we receive from the city for the ongoing maintenance. Right. Included in our costs of building and property maintenance is the maintenance of the Bob Carr. We operate the Bob Carr. As you know, the Bob Carr is an aging building, and we do spend monthly money on the Bob Carr to keep it going. I know that the city staff is very familiar with the state of the Bob Carr, but it is a big portion. It's a portion of that, not the biggest portion. Any questions? All right.
We actually enjoy running the Bob Carr. We know it's a tired building, but we feel that even when Steinmetz Hall is opened, that other programming could happen there that could complement what the Art Center's doing and actually be wonderful for arts education. And you saw how many community arts groups want to be and have a place to perform. And it's a good venue if we can keep it online and we can collectively do that together. It would be great. I want to dive into just what do we do with that $3+ million annually. The $8 million to date is what we've given back for mission, and this is where that goes and where it comes from. We reduce our rental rates for many different types of organizations, for nonprofits. Commercial rates, in certain aspects, we charge average rates across the country. So our commitment to you in the planning period is we'd never be the most expensive and we'd never be the least expensive in terms of rentals, but we're going to be the average rate. We have all that data. So we established our nonprofit rates, which is a reduction in rental, and that's a portion of that $8 million. Event rental. So we also assist nonprofits to come and actually do fundraisers at the Art Center, and we give them favorable rates as well. We are really wanting to activate the front piece of property in the Senef Arts Plaza. That's a big cost. It's a concrete, we're kind of a concrete island, so to secure it down and make sure that we can keep people safe, but also do production activity out there is a cost of that. We like to do many free events as we possibly can. We support that through sponsorship and annual giving. Community engagement, we do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of auction items, but we also do student rush tickets. We also do outreach initiative ticket programs for underserved communities. All of our education and scholarship programs we actually fund through our annual giving. And then professional services. There's a great deal of smaller arts groups that actually come to the Art Center that don't have the expertise, and so our professional staff helps them understand how to do lighting and sound and get their productions installed. One thing I do want to mention, have you ever heard about Savan's story in the media? Savan was a homeless student. He had deep passion for the arts. He's from our community. And he came to the Art Center under classes, and we actually helped him get some auditions nationwide. We do that with our arts education program. And today we had the chance to support his dream, and he's now in New York City at AMDA, which is a Performing Arts Center educational program. He's going to be coming back, I think. Is he going to come help us with Hamilton? I think he is. Okay. So those are the important aspects. So just in summary, strongest year ever. We have many more shows, great growing philanthropy. We still have more to raise for phase 2. Our wellness study is important, phase 2 progress. We really are a leader in industry trends. Our operations team has led the country in terms of how we keep our buildings safe. We were one of the first venues to bring in dogs, actually magnetometers. We search every door, anyone who comes to the Art Center. And the notion is we want people to feel safe when they're there. Not just the guests that come, but the artists and our colleagues as well. So for 18-19, as you all know, we did have the chance to bring in Hamilton. There's a few centers in Florida that actually had a chance to have it this year. We're one. Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, and the Dr. Phillips Center. In one day, we had a great deal of ticket sales, close to 40,000. What's interesting is on that particular day, we had up to, over 30,000 people online trying to buy 4 tickets each. So there was 150,000 close demand for tickets, and we had about 40,000 to sell. We secured, I think this is the most important thing, what we chose to do, and this hasn't been done in the country as well, we said there ought to be underserved kids that have the chance to come. Hamilton, every single ticket's purchased. And so we went to these companies and we said, would you help us see if we can bring 800 kids to see Hamilton? And what we're doing is we're providing brunches for them. We have transportation that's picking them up. We're doing an education program if we can get into their community. The brunches are sponsored, and then they have the chance to go see a show. So Dr. Phillips Charities, American Momentum Bank, Whiting Turner, our construction company, who's also a major donor, Bags a partner, Sundress Foundation, CFE Federal Credit Union, and Tupperware. Now, who's coming? Of those 800 kids, the Lyft community was important to us. So we actually said we want to bring that community, and we went to SunTrust and said, would you help us? They did. Foster kids. We've always, if we have extra tickets, we always do outreach for foster kids if they can come with their families. And so we went to, again, American Momentum Bank, and we said, help us bring foster kids there. The Foundation for Foster Kids are participating. High schools, Edgewater, Evans, Colonial. Middle school, Carver Middle School. Then we have 4 nonprofits, Elevate Orlando, Page 15, Boys and Girls Club, and Pace Center. Wouldn't it be great if every show, every Broadway show, if we could get companies to help us have a ticket program? And I think this is a great start to have them come. Big recognition. This is an important slide for you to recognize. This is, and I have to give great acknowledgement to Joel Schwabe and Nick Smith and others on our, that look at our ticketing and our technology. Since we've opened, these little blips on the bottom, those are our big days. Okay, so you can see Wicked, that was a huge day. I think that was a $300,000 day, was Wicked?
Wicked.
500,000? Okay, then you can see where Lion King was, and then you can see in one day at the end what happened with Hamilton. That's how many tickets we showed. That's the volume that came into the center that particular day. It's a great day in many cases. So this year so far, we've got $900,000 value of community support and contributions. Last year we did 3. We're halfway through the year. We'll get there. Nearly 75,000 students to date have been engaged in programming, free events, and camps and classes. Like we mentioned, we have dozens of organizations that we have actually sponsored ourselves. Fusion Fest, Songs of the Season, Bethune-Cookman Concert Chorale. If you've not been to that, you should come next year. Those silent auction items, this again just shows you how many communities we're actually trying to support so they can raise money. It's about $14,000 for us, and now we're tracking how much they actually raise. In just 4 years of opening, we've delivered on our promise. $8 million value in the community. We've really focused on collaboration with our local arts organizations and groups. We've created our own programs and initiatives. Launching a jazz orchestra is a huge milestone, and it's a huge endeavor. And we've got a great partnership with Jazz at Lincoln Center that we've developed, and that gives it a great deal of recognition as well. Launched diverse educational initiatives for students, and we're going to grow that under Karen's leadership. Introduced 14 new genres in 10 different languages, and that's, again, under Levon Bracey's leadership and Foster Corona. We've grown our operating revenue 48% since we've opened. So it's been a great time for growth. What's on the horizon? This is what we're doing this year. We've got 4 years of data into our 5th year. We've commissioned an economic impact study. What is our economic impact of the existing building and anticipation what happens with Steinmetz Hall? We're expanding our arts education program. We're doing evaluation, this is not on there, enhancing our food and beverage, but we're also studying what type of other food offerings can we handle on the site. So we have an economic and real estate assessment of what type of F&B and retail can occur on the front piece of property within the building. We're looking at the 9-acre site. We're revisiting that. And also we're preparing for 2020. We're also doing a valuation study for sponsorship. Again, having that many people come to the center and the type of exposure, sponsorship is an opportunity with us. And so we're very close to having an assessment done from a company called IMG 360, which we're happy to share with you at the appropriate time. The opening of Steinmetz is most likely we get the building at the end of May, beginning of June. We'll probably open it early fall of 2020. And I'm happy to answer any questions and happy to bring team members up to do so as well.
Great update, Kathy and team. I have to think that the Dr. Phillips Center has met or exceeded all expectations that anybody could have had 10 years ago. I remember coming into office and Kathy joined our team and then went over within the year to assist Jim, and everything has spawned from there. And it's marvelous facility that I know that I'm proud to talk about anywhere I go, anywhere around the country. So great job, entire team. Appreciate all of you. Commissioner Sheehan?
Thank you, Kathy. That's great. And it is really a gem in our community. I remember when I moved here from Cleveland as a child, I had gone to Preservation Hall in Cleveland and seen Peter and the Wolf. And it transformed my life because I had never seen a performance like that. And I came down here, we moved down here to Central Florida, and nothing against the Florida Symphony, but I saw the Florida Symphony on folding chairs in the Sanford Civic Center on terrazzo floors. And there was no comparison. So the fact that children can experience the state-of-the-art facility really means a lot to me, because it's kind of full circle for me, Mayor, because I got to experience a wonderful hall in another city. I moved to my new hometown, and now as an adult got to be part of providing that for other children. So thank you for allowing me to be part of that dream. It's just amazing. Something that folks have been asking me about is I've been out at neighborhood association meetings, because we talk about, there's been a lot of talk about the pads in the suspension system. They're asking me, are we gonna have to repair those? Or are they gonna, I'm like, I don't think they can, because they can't pick the building up. So those are lifetime supports. I mean, what can I tell them? I mean, Brett, lifetime. Is that?
I can't tell you the exact time frame, but those engineers will be on.
Come back to the mic, please.
I don't know the exact lifespan of the design, but like they are irreplaceable. I mean, the structure is bearing on those pads, so they're designed for, I'm sure, well over 100 years of use or ever.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Sorry.
That's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Commissioner Ings.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Am I? All right. I just wanted to make sure my mic was on. But I just want to say thank you, Mr. Steinmetz, for your help, your generosity, your support. You and your wife are great contributors to the community, and it really means a lot to the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center, and obviously the city of Orlando, Orange County, and this region. So it really means a lot with what you're doing. Kathy, thank you for the presentation today. But I must say, I was concerned too about those rubber pads too. You know, things wear out, at least with what I think about, you know, but so 100-year lifespan at least, so that's really good to know. And Kathy, I also want to express my thanks to LaVon Bracy Davis for all of her assistance that she has really been giving me, and many of the nonprofits that come through that I help to support. And these opportunities give these young people a chance to perform on the big stage. And that's really huge. And we've got the Booker T. Washington event coming this month, or the 1st of February. They're from Birmingham, Alabama, and that's going to be huge. Tuskegee, Alabama, I'm sorry. That's really going to be huge. And but LaVon has been very wonderful to work with, very accommodating, and a great assistance to not only me, but Jackie in the office, and the nonprofits that we work with. And many of the nonprofits don't know the process, but she works with them very well, and that really means a lot. The other comments too, I love Bob Carr. So I appreciate, taking time to take good care of Bob Carr, because even though we talk of it as an old building, it's a historic building as well. And this is the place where it was the municipal auditorium, and that was the very first place that Chief James Wilson of Jones High School Band actually performed in the municipal auditorium, and it was off limits to blacks. So they didn't have an opportunity to go in there. He had that opportunity. So I would, and he just passed away too, so his legacy, the Bob Carr's legacy, I would love to see continue, and we just need to make sure that we're giving it some good, tender, loving care. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Oh, here we go. Thank you. Kathy, what can I say? A dream becomes a vision is implemented, and it becomes a reality. And thank you. Thank you for everything you have done. I mean, and by the way, this was a great presentation, exquisite. I just have a question to ask. I hear you talking about all this great things you guys are doing for the kids. I just have one concern. We have seniors on low income that is really hard for them to afford a play like this, like Hamilton. What can we do for them? And there's seniors living in low income places that they will never have a chance, although they know more about the history than we would ever know. They would probably enjoy very much a play like this. So what can we do for those seniors?
I think the goal for this ticket program for kids, when we did the 800 tickets, is we actually also said if we can also bring seniors into it as well. And I think it's an awareness. We've had the chance to, we have a great community outreach initiative led by Jackie Kelvington for us to really talk about what the Art Center does. And I think a lot of people were surprised of how purpose-driven we are, especially corporations. And so with Hamilton, what we approached with Hamilton saying, let us be your corporate citizenship fulfillment. In other words, the Art Center is not actually making money when we have a ticket program. What we're doing is we're taking inventory saying everyone ought to be there. We need companies and foundation and others to embrace that mission with us so we can say this percentage of tickets under your corporate citizenship will help fulfill a vision for seniors, for every different type of population that ought to have the chance to come and see a play. And so, I think with this amount of time, 4 years under our belt, some stability in our operations, more corporate involvement. Hopefully these companies that have supported us, we can use their voices and testimonies to get more companies to help give an opportunity to someone who would never have the chance to be there.
Well, one more time, just like the mayor said, you truly exceeded expectations. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And we all celebrate this for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy and team. Back to work.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Ed, I don't know if the monitors out here are freaking out, but the ones up here are being temperamental for sure. Okay, our second workshop today is going to be on Creative Village, and this is going to be the most exciting year ever for Creative Village. We'll have the opening of the UCF campus, the Valencia campus, 3 other private buildings that are being constructed. So this is another project that we've been working on for a very long time. I was on whatever the Channel 9 Talking Head show is over the weekend, and Greg Wormuth was asking me about this, and then they inserted some old pictures, and it was the demolition of the Amway Arena going all the way back. I guess that's probably been 8 years ago, but really this is a well thought out and well implemented plan that is coming to fruition as well. So we're going to let Brooke lead out. Brooke Bonnet with the city.
Okay, so this is my first time using this new system, so let me see if I can figure this out. Ed? hold on. Help. What am I missing? There it is.
Yeah, there's a little,
Okay.
spacebar.
This one? Which one?
Spacebar.
Oh, that spacebar. Okay. It's fancy. Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you today an update on the Creative Village project. This has certainly been a team effort and a project that's been in the works now for 9 years, and a lot of progress has been made. On this first slide, I just want you to take notice of our new logo for Creative Village. So we've just recently gone through a rebranding exercise under the leadership of Michelle and April and our communications team. So you'll be seeing more of this. We're really excited about it, and I know some of them are with us today. Here they are back there. So we're really excited about where this will lead us.
Brooke, would you point out what the
I don't know how to go back.
logo has in it, just in case
It's not just a cool symbol.
you haven't just picked up on that immediately?
Hold on, arrows.
Street grid.
There it is. So this is the layout of Creative Village. These are the parcels of Creative Village, and this is we're always looking at the map of Creative Village and trying to plan what's next and figuring out what each of these parcels is going to become. And obviously, as part of the concept team development, and then as we entered into our partnership with Creative Village Development LLC as our master development partner, this has really come to life. And so each of these lines means something, and each of these parcels means something, and it's just really kind of become iconic for each of us. So soon, I imagine we'll see a bunch of men with this as cufflinks, and women with different things as well. So we're excited about it. Okay, go back this way. So today, it's a team effort. We've got a couple of us that are going to move through this workshop with you, really to cover the history and the vision of the project, the master plan, where we are with the education piece, the phase 1 development, recognizing that this is a long-term 15 to 20-year project, where we are today, and looking ahead. And as you'll remember, this dates back to 2007, when we had new plans for the Amway Center and our community venues projects, and we began to look at what this 68 acres could become. And with your leadership and the leadership of our community, we entered into and finalized a concept team report to really look at the opportunity to turn this into a high-quality urban area that benefited downtown, but that also complemented the Paramore neighborhood, was transit-oriented, financially feasible, and really expanded on educational opportunities for all. In 2010, March of 2010, we issued a solicitation for proposals to enter into a master development arrangement, and through that, Creative Village Development LLC was selected, a partnership between the Bank of America Community Development Corporation as well as Usler Development. And just as a reminder, CVD, as we refer to them, they act as the master developer, and they also have a purchase option agreement for vertical development projects by their affiliates. A combination of CVD-related development and third-party development will be facilitated over time. And the long-term vision is for an innovation district in DTO, and this master development agreement that we have runs through 2031. And really, and I'm going to turn it over here in a minute to Kelly Moody. I really want to, I can't emphasize enough what a team effort this has been over the past 9 years, not only with our partners outside of City Hall, but every single department in the city has played a role in moving this project forward. But there are two people in particular that I want to highlight. One would be Kathy DeVault. in the mayor's office, our director of strategic partnerships. She has been our liaison with the educational institutions, really running point on a day-to-day basis with Valencia as well as UCF to bring that dream to life. But then an individual that you probably haven't worked as much with, though I'm sure you've seen her, is Kelly Moody. And Kelly is a chief planner with the City of Orlando within the Economic Development Department. And has been with us for a while. She started her work with us in the Downtown Development Board and CRA area, and really was our point of contact and the champion on our Project DTO initiative. We recognized her talent quickly and pulled her into this role to serve as project manager and almost as our owner's rep for the Creative Village project. Her background, she holds a bachelor's in geography and urban and regional development from Penn State, and a master's in real estate from New York University. And prior to working in Orlando, Kelly worked for Greenberg Farrar Architecture, the Lewisberger Group, as well as the city of St. Petersburg. And I could not be more proud of her leadership on a day-to-day basis managing this project. So with that, I will turn it over to Kelly.
Good morning. Good morning, commissioners and mayor. In the early years of Creative Village, right after the Master Development Agreement and Purchase Option Agreement were approved by council, we were in the slowest years of real estate development, being post-Great Recession. And so we spent a lot of time working on things other than constructing buildings in the outset. Specifically, we worked on demolishing the Amway Arena, collaborating with Lynx on the implementation of the Tiger II grant, which created the Limo Lime Line and created the new Terry and new Livingston roads within the Creative Village footprint. We also received 2 brownfield grants for assessment and cleanup that benefited not only Creative Village, but the Paramore neighborhood, as well as the Sustainable Communities Regional Planning Grant, which is where the Paramore plan was actually born out of that, as well as some projects in Creative Village and other areas of Paramore. In addition, we also worked on business development and marketing. And alongside the grant efforts of administration and seeking, we also developed the PD zoning framework and 5 sets of development guidelines that you see listed on your slide that will help us ensure high quality urbanism and best practices in design, public art, open spaces, and mobility in the Creative Village. With our original history and vision, we originally anticipated a development program that would be about $1 million of development value. This program was mixed use with office, retail, educational anchors, hotel, and residential. This early master plan that you see here shows in the light green to the south of Livingston, where all of the educational uses were contemplated to go, and that is consistent from CVD's original proposal when they were selected as a master developer. Because education has been a key anchor, and because education historically has limited or inability to pay for land associated with new construction projects, we have always anticipated that that acreage south of Livingston be conveyed at no cost. At the outset, our biggest unknown was who the educational anchors would become. In 2014, leaders from the city, UCF, and CVD traveled to Phoenix, Arizona to have a look at their model for the Arizona State campus in downtown Phoenix. With funding from our state legislature, planning began for the downtown campus in Creative Village. And in 2016, you all approved the MOU for the support of the downtown campus with land, infrastructure improvements, and other in-kind donations. We broke ground on the campus and the entire Creative Village in May of 2017. The city and CVD worked collaboratively and diligently to attract UCF and Valencia to downtown Orlando, and were ultimately successful in attracting the ideal educational anchors to catalyze the Creative Village redevelopment. And now I would like to turn the presentation over to our leaders from our educational anchors, Dr. Eugene Jones, Executive Dean from Valencia College Downtown, and Mike Kilbride, the Assistant Vice President for UCF Downtown, which I will also note he is here celebrating his birthday with us. Wow. So happy birthday, Mike.
No place I'd rather be. That is true. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
We're so happy to be here today to talk a little bit about UCF and Valencia's partnership in the campus we're building in downtown Orlando. Before I begin, I would like to thank you all. As Kelly mentioned in that one slide, the partnership it took to make this campus come to life. That was many years of hard work and support and leadership from the city. And to echo the remarks earlier, we couldn't have done it without the help of Kathy DeVault and Kelly Moody, who work with us every day at UCF and Valencia to bring this to life. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. To begin, when we talk about UCF and Valencia downtown, we are talking about the 15 acres in the heart of downtown Orlando at the south end of the Creative Village, where we're focusing on building an educational ecosystem that will focus on 21st century learning, community engagement, proximity to industry, and partnerships. The campus will serve as the intellectual anchor as the Creative Village on the south 15 acres. And it's unique because our students' academic experience will be anchored here, but the campus experience really is the city of Orlando. If you see in this map, it's a great illustration of the 15-minute walking radius from the site we're developing. And if you've been to our main campus on the east side of town, our student unions at the center of that development and our parking garages are about on that 15-minute radius. So a student may park their car and have their experience on that campus. But here downtown for UCF and Valencia students, they may choose not only to park their car, to take Sunrail or any of the other transit opportunities to the campus, but then their entire day can be surrounded by their internships and the city as their classroom. Their group work will be in the coffee shops of downtown Orlando and not just what's on the campus. So it's unique to us as institutions because this campus is so much more than the 15 acres and the buildings we're developing. It is the city. Specifically on our 15 acres, this is what we've been hard at work at to bring to life. To ensure a successful launch, we've been committed to a full-service campus, and I'll walk you through these buildings. But that really means a place where a student can choose to start and finish their 4-year, their 2-year, their experience with us on this downtown campus. The majors that'll move here are moving from our main campus, and this is, if you're a student in communication, this is where you'll study that degree from start to finish. These buildings we're working on will support the over 7,700 students that will come to this campus on August 26th of this year. For the first time, we are in 2019 as we've talked about this. And if you're counting, it's 223 days, 20 hours, and about 15 minutes from right now. We're counting all the time. The campus will include on day one when we open the new Dr. Phillips Academic Commons. It's the anchor building to the campus, 150,000 square feet of academic space that we're sharing with Valencia College. Renovations to the Center for Emerging Media, which is the old expo building that has been home to FIA for many years, will now be home to our digital media students from both UCF and Valencia. A new parking garage and a chilled water plant on our site. Across the street, you'll see Union West, which is a mixed-use development developed by a private developer, but managed by UCF Housing and Residence Life to give over 640 students beds the opportunity to live on the campus. Has 600 parking spaces and 100,000 square feet of academic space leased by UCF and Valencia together. It'll be home to Valencia's culinary and hospitality program, as well as our joint student services. And then in addition, we'll have parking in the Centroplex parking garage, which is one we're leasing from the city. And then in some old retail on the other Centroplex garage, we'll have the UCF Police Department and the Flying Horse Press, which is a press we've had in the Center for Emerging Media, will be moving to that new space. It's actively relocating now, and a gem to the campus. So what you see here is really a full-service campus that when we open our doors will be a place where students can live, learn, work, and play all within downtown Orlando. These photographs show you some pictures of the progress. It's been amazing to feel what the space is like now. If you haven't had an opportunity to walk the streets at Terry and Livingston and kind of take in the buildings, I would encourage you to do that because you feel the sense of place that's being created there for our students and the urban environment it's beginning to become. And here's a picture as well as of the Dr. Phillips Academic Commons. The building itself has two structures linked by a bridge and creates a welcoming portal into the campus from Livingston in the Creative Village, something that's been very important to our master planning and design as we've worked on this campus. Important to our success in making this a campus that would thrive was choosing academic programs that leveraged location and the downtown environment for the student experience. And so we were very intentional in the programs that we chose at the beginning of this experience based on the downtown Orlando location and our unique partnership with Valencia College, choosing programs that could work better together because of our joint use campus. So at UCF, we chose programs in communications, public administration, legal studies, and health management and informatics, building on the industries in the downtown area, as well as access by Sunrail in either direction to our 2 major hospitals. So a thriving opportunity for the students who will be choosing these majors here in downtown Orlando. I'll let Eugene briefly mention Valencia's programs before we move on.
Sure. Good morning, Mayor Dyer and Commissioners. As Mike described, the programs that are coming down from UCF, Valencia has the first 2 legs for all of those programs. It's a very intentional study of what were the lower division requirements for all the programs that you see there. So the result of that is that any UCF student or Valencia student who is starting downtown will not have to leave the footprint of the campus to complete their lower division, their 60 hours required to move into the upper division for the programs that you see there. So the associate arts degree that you see, of course, we're providing, and the other unique feature of that is that both UCF and Valencia students will be in the same classroom. So in our agreement, which causes a cost savings for a UCF student, they'll be taking their classes intermixed with the Valencia students. In addition to that, on the Valencia side, we'll be bringing down a pre-major in digital media, a pre-major in health information technology. Also, we'll be bringing down particular AS degrees in our culinary and hospitality programs. You can see the different ones there, the baking and pastry, culinary management, restaurant management. We also have a brand new degree in new media communication that we'll be launching downtown, which is training students in the social media platforms to be authors and curators of all the social media platforms that they may be required to work at different businesses. And of course, our health information technology AS degree also.
And this just and here's a brief slide that just shows as we talk about these majors and the number of businesses and organizations in the downtown area compared to the 3 zip code areas surrounding main campus. You can see the opportunities for internships, the number of business for students to intern in and connect with to get those experiences in addition to what they're learning in the classroom to make that degree so they can apply what they're learning. So when they graduate, they're ready for employment and the jobs they're seeking. This campus has been, from the beginning, a partnership with Valencia College. And this is so important because UCF and Valencia, we share the same belief that education transforms lives. That access to high quality, affordable education is important. And both of our institutions want to be remembered by those we include in the process, not by those we exclude. And we know that every day people choose education through different paths and different experiences. And at UCF and Valencia, we started the Direct Connect program many years ago because of that shared belief. We wanted to make sure that whether you chose to start as a student right after high school, or if you chose to get your AA degree for any reason, you were guaranteed admission to pursue that 4-year bachelor's degree. And we've been working so well together through this Direct Connect program. We've brought in other partners, and it has advanced that mission of accessible, high-quality higher education within our community. Since the program began, over 24,000 degrees have been awarded to Valencia students who've come to UCF to pursue their 4-year degree, and we see so many of our students today continue to come in to UCF with AAs from Valencia. This campus will give us the opportunity to look at that experience, that student experience, in a new way, because we'll have academic advisors and student support services from both of our institutions working side by side with students who may be starting at UCF or starting at Valencia, but ultimately their end goal is that 4-year degree. And we'll be able to make life easier as we look at financial aid offerings and scholarship offerings because our staff are working together and the campus is a campus for both of our students. It's also the first housing and residence life property managed by UCF, where Valencia students will be living in the housing as well with UCF students. So this campus is a place where a 4-year experience with housing and student services, recreation and health offerings are available to all the UCF and Valencia students who choose to major here. So it's an incredible opportunity for us to build on our partnership. And with that, I'll let Eugene talk more about the specifically unique programs that Valencia will be bringing.
One of the things we're very proud about is the expansion that we're going to be able to do with our culinary and hospitality programs. Currently, our hospitality and culinary programs are located on our West Campus in the Walt Disney Center for Culinary and Hospitality. But the move to downtown allows us to take that to a very elite status. So in the Union West building, we'll have 3 floors of culinary and hospitality, each one of them with state-of-the-art kitchens, state-of-the-art classrooms, designed by our industry partners. So this is not a situation where we, inside of Academica, decided about what we wanted. We actually had charrettes, we had meetings, we had all kinds of conversation about what is happening in the industry, and we let the industry design these particular classrooms and kitchens that we'll have downtown. In addition to that, we'll also have a chocolate lab just for chocolate R&D to talk. It's big business, chocolate. And in addition to that, we'll have a mixology lab. We'll be doing R&D with a full bar. And so we'll be doing those types of courses also. So with that, our goal is not to be a fantastic, outstanding program, which we currently are. It is to move into the top 5 nationally, with our goals on international prominence in culinary and hospitality. As Mike mentioned, and as you see on the slide, this will also allow us to become now a school where we'll be able to expand some of the classroom offerings to other campuses, but have the home, have the center, have those core programs located on the downtown campus. One of the other very exciting features of the downtown, did you want to make a comment before? One of the other exciting features that we're doing with the downtown campus is our engagement with the community. And with that, when the decision was made to establish a campus downtown with UCF, with the Parramore community, foremost in our minds was how do we engage the community in this process? So starting back as far as 2015, conversations and charrettes were held with the community members about how they will experience the downtown campus and what are their aspirations for that. So through those conversations, those charrettes, those conversations, and through some of the fantastic work that was done with the Parramore Comprehensive Neighborhood Plan, this decision was decided to form the Parramore Engagement Council, which was officially formed back in 2016. This is a model that is built on the collaborative impact model. And in that model, the idea is that since we have so many organizations that are already focused on working and trying to have an impact, a positive impact in the Parramore community, how can we come into an alignment? How can we gather all those resources and get them going all in the same direction? So through that collaborative impact model, you have quarterbacking organizations that help shepherd, help direct the work that the council wants to put forward. So with those organizations, you have ourselves, Valencia, you have UCF, and you have the great work that's being done in representation from the city that are all working as quarterback organizations to do that. The council itself is formed with 24 members in a wide variety of the Parramore community. You have business owners, you have longtime residents, you have very young people, you have high school students, you have college students. There's 24 memberships in a variety of different areas that we want to make sure that we got the entire spectrum of Parramore. There are monthly meetings in which we come together and we listen to the items of concern, and we listen to the direction that the community is describing to us as how we partner with not only UCF and Valencia, but how we can help improve that community. So there are 5 focus areas that the council has come up with. Some of these will be no surprise: jobs, health, safety, housing, and education. And with each one of those focus groups, we're looking at providing signature projects that will help move in a positive way the needle toward addressing some of those concerns. So we're excited about the Parramore Engagement Council. We're excited about our partnership with the community, and we're especially excited about our partnership with our other quarterbacking organizations And together we feel that we really can become that positive impact on a continual basis as we continue not only to open campus, but to work with the community in whatever variety of ways that they see fit. I'd like to speak just briefly also to our vision for affordable jobs and education training. You probably have heard the term the educational ecosystem, about how the different organizations are partnering, UCF, Valencia, OCPS, provide that educational pathway. We also are looking at doing that for affordable jobs and skills training. So we are launching in the Paramore footprint an accelerated skills training center. Now this is a location that'll be able to do short-term training. So our goal here is to look at the entire household. Certainly we want those young people who are in the household who are interested in continuing education and traditional path to do so. But if you have older members of the household or those who might not necessarily be interested in doing the traditional credit-bearing path, to have also an opportunity to change their wage and income earning potential. These programs begin as early as 8 weeks and go all the way up to 21 weeks, depending on the particular program you're interested in. Electronic board assembly, construction training, forklift, logistics, are a sample of the programs that we'll have in the accelerated skills training that is located right behind the Marriott in that warehouse there where you have the t-shirt place, and we'll be right there in the center of that location. So we're excited about that. We're excited about providing that pathway, multiple entries, and for providing those types of training opportunities for the entire household to raise that average income per household that's in the footprint.
And with that, we're going to pass it back to Kelly Moody, and we'll be here at the end if you have any specific questions about UCF and Valencia.
Thank you, Mike and Eugene. Now I'd like to introduce the development partners that I have the pleasure of working with on a daily basis to bring the vision for Creative Village to reality. So Mr. Craig Usler will provide an update for you all on the development activity within the project.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. Little housekeeping before I get started. We've got our partners from Bank of America Community Development Corporation here. So Brian, Heidi, Kathy Crickon, and Mary Margaret Lecision. She just got married, so it's not like I don't remember her last name, but it changed. They're here with us. You'll hear throughout our presentation, we work with Bank of America daily, and they're responsible for delivering mixed income housing and some other things, along with master redevelopment activities that we do. And they're an important part of our team. And I would echo what everybody has said without being too long-winded about it, but Kelly Moody and the relationships we have at the city, and then the relationship with Valencia and UCF, it's really a privilege for our team to work on this project. And this is not window dressing about Orlando being the place that has the best collaboration and best partnerships in the country. It really is true, and we've benefited from it. I know the mayor goes out of his way to emphasize that when we're talking to people around the country, but it really is true, and it has proven to be, I think, probably the difference maker in a project of this scale and impact. I'm going to go in just a little bit into sort of the background and why we did what we did, but I do want to start with this sort of overarching theme because we do a lot of work, urban planning work, downtown work. Suffice it to say that a great city and a great downtown has a great public university. That is a given. It has been the sort of missing link for Orlando for a long time, that we have this second largest public university in the country. We have tremendous successful state college like Valencia, and they're noticeably absent from the urban environment. So the idea to bring this public education anchor to downtown is the opportunity of a lifetime, and something that we felt obviously that we need to take advantage of as a city. So that's what we've done. The first slide that you see now, it's the same slide you've seen before, but it's in red are the projects we're working on in phase 1. And so hopefully you see a fair amount of red on the map to show you that we're creating critical mass and delivering a significant amount of development in the beginning, but then also pacing ourselves over time so that we create a long-term and successful and sustainable business model. The first project, this is the biggest project that you see under construction over there, topped out a couple months ago. This is called Union West. This is the student housing tower that Mike and Eugene were referring to. It has 640 beds of purpose-built student housing. Also has the 105,000 square feet of space leased to Valencia and UCF, and it has ground floor retail and 600 parking spaces. This project will be completed in August, commensurate with the downtown campus opening. This is a $105 million project, $120 million project if you count the tenant build out. That's big. That's one of the largest projects ever developed in downtown Orlando by dollar value, and to do this on the west side is quite an accomplishment for the project and for the city. Same time, we'll be bringing online Bank of America and their partner Atlantic Housing are developing Amelia Court. It's 2 buildings of mixed income housing, 256 units, $56 million investment, opening summer of 19, actually hoping it'll be open maybe a month or 2 prior to when the campus opens. There's fundamental promise that we made as a master redeveloper to include mixed income and affordable housing at Creative Village. And so we've met that promise and will continue to do so in the future. And we're looking forward to getting this project open. This is right across the street from the ACE School, and really provides a good opportunity for families. 256 units is a lot, so we also like the amount and the critical mass that this helps us build. This is the market rate housing project. We just broke ground on this in closing the land in November, broke ground towards the end of last year. Usler is co-developing this with Alan Morris Company. This is a $108 million privately developed, privately financed project. Creative Village has a mix of housing. It's not just mixed income, it's not just student housing, it's not just market rate housing, it's across the spectrum. It's actually important. This is luxury apartment. There's no other way to say it, but it's important to understand that Creative Village addresses housing across the complete spectrum. We think that's important for the neighborhood. We think you don't sort of just address the one segment, you have to address all segments, and I think it's proven successful in other markets that the more we do mixed income and mixed use, the better off we'll be. This project will be done in 2020, mid-2020, approximately 1 year after the campus opens. That was intentional. The timing of everything we've done has been very intentional based on when the campus is opening. There's a second market rate parcel. I think you guys will remember approving the land contract at City Council for Mill Creek Residential to buy this parcel, what we call Parcel U. And 300 market rate apartments. Land is under hard contract. They're in due diligence. They are doing a really nice design, and it'll come online then 1 year after the project you just saw. So there's as I said, a purposeful timing and staggering these projects. Important to note that the Mill Creek project is not being developed by Bank of America or by Usler. It's being developed by Mill Creek. So this was an example of when we go out to the market and we sell to a third party instead of using an affiliate of our own to develop. And it's important, I think, at Creative Village that we do a combination of our own related entity development and also third-party development. This is also, we won't get into the weeds about it, but this is also key to the city and our business model, that we sell land to third parties to, that this $5.5 million contract price is a moneymaker for the city and for the master developer, and we need some of that as we go along to meet our financial objectives. We're in the design phase. The conceptual design's been approved for Central Park. Again, part of the plan development ordinance is that we provide a public space in the middle of Creative Village, approximately 2.5 acres. This will come online in 2019. The reason this is important is, as you guys know, that the public realm and public parks and open spaces, this is really where the neighborhood and the university and the people that live there and the people that work here can all come together. We really need this sort of fundamental urban planning idea of the town square, where everyone can gather. And so that's what this is. And it also drives real estate development. So if you think about in the middle of any urban infill project, you try to put an amenity. Lake Eola functions that way, and then the real estate around it is worth more money. So that's sort of what the park does here, is it provides you this central amenity, and then we're able to drive real estate value around it. I do like to show what I call the logo slide. The successful public-private partnership at Creative Village is not only a success between the city and the master developer and UCF and Valencia. It's also a success in the fact that we have attracted best-in-class development partners and third-party developers. So you see on that slide not just the folks in the top 2 lines that are doing sort of the public-private partnership work at the primary level, but attached to that is this idea that we are developing and co-developing or third-party developing projects with Devon, Atlantic Housing Partners, Allen Morris, Mill Creek Residential. These are best-in-class, nationally and internationally respected Class A plus developers who you would never have dreamed at the beginning of this project that we would attract this type of roster to the west side. I think Jim Gray can probably speak to that from the reputation of these folks, but this is a real win. This isn't just making the project sort of work. This is really knocking it out of the park as far as who you get to do business with and who we bring to the city of Orlando to help us implement the vision. So that's been a satisfying result. So today, this is an aerial looking back towards downtown, so it's like you're in a helicopter and you're looking to the southeast towards downtown Orlando. And the initial phase is $625 million in development value. 8,000, the UCF quotes 7,700 students, we quote 8,000 student faculties and staff. It's the same number, we just happen to include the faculty and the staff that'll be necessary to support those 7,700 students. And so you're looking at the affordable housing, mixed income housing, and you're looking back towards Union West, and then you've got UCF's project. In the background, the blue fence is around the new market rate apartment project we were referencing. 8,000 students, faculty, and staff, 965 apartments, 640 purpose-built student housing beds. It's roughly 2,100 new residents by 2021 across a full range of housing affordability. It's quite an injection of critical mass to the site, and that's really what we were after, and we're happy with that. We are more dense than projected. The left slide, I won't reread the numbers, but the original development program was based on a somewhat more moderated idea. The difference is UCF and Valencia. Dr. Hitt, he was really taken, we were all taken with what happened in Arizona State and downtown Phoenix, but the thing that Dr. Hitt walked away from was you had to open with a certain scale such that you could deliver a full service campus. And the idea of a few thousand students and kind of a satellite deal really didn't deliver the impact that you needed to do. And I think we all agreed with that when we saw what ASU had done and how that had worked. And so that really led us to this 8,000 number starting off versus maybe we had thought 2,000, 3,000. So it just leads to a more intense development program surrounding it. So density in this case is a good thing, and you end up with more educational square footage, you end up with more housing units across the full range of housing type, and you end up with at least a $1.5 billion, probably closer to $2 billion of development. And also in an urban environment, you can handle all this. Our PD zoning contemplated increasing the density this much. So far, we've closed or under hard contract on $18 million in land sales. So that's well above we talk about program. We have a spreadsheet where we sort of had estimated what we would do. We're well ahead of program. We've achieved on the market rate apartments, we've achieved land pricing of $74 to $83 a square foot. The reason I mention that is just that's equal to east side land values, and some people thought on the west side we would never be able to drive private land sales that would come anywhere close to doing what we're doing on the east side, supposedly the good side. So I would submit to you that we're making the west side be the good side, and we're achieving land sales on the west side that are unprecedented, and I think are going to really set the right message for the quality of development we're trying to do. And we're also putting a significant amount of taxable revenue on the tax rolls. I think everybody understands one of the reasons you do a project like this is not just to collect the money from the land sales, but also to put money on the tax rolls. So just in the first 4 privately developed parcels we're doing, you're looking at well north of $4 million a year in annual property taxes. Again, sort of a really big number based on where we were going into this thing. I proudly say the 2 projects that we're co-developing are 2 of the largestly private developed and privately financed buildings in the history of downtown Orlando, both on the west side. $105 million at Union West, $120 million if you count tenant build-out, co-developed by Usler and Devon, and then the $108 million market rate apartment project I talked about being co-developed by Usler and Allen Morris. Both of these projects have also attracted banks and investment capital that has been, for instance, SunTrust is the construction lender on the parcel M apartments. For SunTrust to go make a $60-something million construction loan on the west side is market defining and speaks to their commitment to Orlando. So we appreciate that, and it's been very satisfying to bring those type of partnerships together. Last slide or 2. Man, you've done a great job. No, but really, we're just getting started. The idea that we've accomplished all this is just the beginning of what we're working on. We have a lot to do. This is a long-term project. We've got 10 or 15 years left. This is not about short-term gain. It's about doing an appropriate amount of development over the right period of time so that we create long-term, sustainable value for the neighborhood and for the city and for the private developer. So just keep in mind, we're currently in phase 1. There's 2 future phases to come, and the current master development agreement runs through 2031. And we will address future land uses across the full spectrum, and we'll continue to advance what we call the innovation district model. This is a model that many cities, Mayor Dyer is seeing this throughout the country, but a lot of what we consider the smart cities, the Austin, Texas, the Denver, Colorado, Seattle, the idea of your downtown redevelopment sort of anchored by the innovation district model, something we believe in. We think it's how we attract and retain talent here in Orlando, so we're committed to that model, and you can see us continue to move that forward. And the last thing I'll say, but in no means mean for you to take this lightly, we will continue. Ultimately, this is a partnership. It's sort of about real estate development. Real estate development is kind of the toolkit that we use, but ultimately it's about partnerships and pathways and access to education and careers and business development and job training and all the other things that a project like Creative Village can do. So this is really a community initiative more than it is a real estate project. It just happens that real estate is our way of accomplishing what we want to accomplish. So keep that in mind. If it seems like today we were kind of talking about the bricks and the sticks, so to speak, that's because that's what you do when you're real estate guys and you're building a bunch of things. But we will never lose focus of what the real end goal here is, which is to make Orlando better, to make the community better, and to be as inclusive as we can. That's it. I think we're going to take questions, and then we'll maybe just try to quarterback who can answer what for you. So, okay, thanks.
Thank you, Craig and team. So I have U.S. Conference of Mayors next week, and I always want to go to those meetings, talk about I'm the happiest mayor in America, and all of the other mayors, how can you be the happiest mayor? And then I bet no other city council in this country had a presentation or workshop this month with 2 more exciting projects than the Dr. Phillips Center and what's happening at Creative Village. I don't think there's anything like Creative Village that's happening anywhere in this country. So I'm really excited about that. So I wanted to start out the new year with 2 of the best things that we have going. So that was another great presentation, and we're excited about getting to August and September. That's going to be the fun part, right? And I do want to mention back to UCF and Valencia on this. I've been so impressed with the thought that went into what programs were brought to the downtown, not just a mishmash of this and that, but the programs that would actually benefit from being downtown. And Craig talked about what we learned out in Phoenix with ASU, that you couldn't just bring a few things down here and expect it to succeed. You had to buy all the way in, and that's what UCF and Valencia, along with the development team, has done, was bought into the vision to have the anchor be the academic part of this, because the whole thing doesn't really work unless you have that. And to have UCF and Valencia downtown and the commitment to the neighborhood is just fantastic. So I'm excited about all of this. Commissioner Sheehan?
Oh, thank you, Mayor Dyer. And yeah, people say, doesn't it get boring being city council so long? And I'm like, absolutely not. There's so many amazing things happening. It's just a great time to be on the council and be part of this team. It's just remarkable. And something that, interacting with children in public housing, that they say is that culinary isn't something that they think is outside of their ability. They see the cooking shows, they see people who look like them, and they see a lot of diversity in cooking, and they believe they can do it. So I'm delighted to see that opportunity to serve the most needy children in our community, and also that emphasis from UCF and Valencia. Thank you very much for that, because again, it's about solving the problem of intergenerational poverty, and through education you can do that. So thank you for this, and that's why this project is so critically important to downtown. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, I think that's it. Commissioner Gray?